Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to imagine something for a moment. Picture a young girl standing alone in a crowded room. People are talking, laughing, sharing stories, but she stands in silence, invisible, unnoticed, a ghost in the background of her own life. She has no friends, not because she isn't kind, not because she isn't worthy, but because somewhere along the way she started believing a lie that whispers, you don't belong, you're not enough, no one wants you. And let me tell you something right now. Those voices, they are not reality. They are the walls of a cage that you have the power to break. The truth is, you are not alone. The truth is, you are not broken. And the truth is, your tribe is out there waiting for you. But first, you have to step into your own power. So how do you do it? The stories we tell ourselves shape our entire reality. If you constantly repeat to yourself, I have no friends, that belief becomes your truth. Not because it's an unchangeable fact, but because your mind starts finding evidence to support it. Every time you see a group laughing together, you'll think, see, I don't belong. Every time someone doesn't respond the way you hoped, you'll take it as proof that no one wants to be around you. But the truth is, this isn't reality. It's a story you've conditioned yourself to believe, and the good news is, you have the power to change that story. Imagine a girl walking into a room with her head down, shoulders slumped, and eyes avoiding contact. What energy does she bring? People might sense her withdrawal and assume she doesn't want to engage, so they don't approach her. But if she tells herself a different story, if she believes, I am worthy of connection, her actions will naturally align with that belief. She walks in with a smile, her posture changes, she makes eye contact, and suddenly the same people who would have ignored her before are now open to engaging with her. Your brain is a powerful machine, and it will always look for proof to confirm whatever belief you hold. If you tell yourself you're unlikable, your mind will focus on moments that validate that thought, filtering out the countless times people were kind, interested, or open to knowing you. But if you shift that belief and start telling yourself, I am capable of meaningful connections, you'll begin to notice opportunities you used to ignore. Words are not just sounds, they are programming. Every time you repeat a statement, you are wiring your brain to believe it. This is why negative self-talk is so damaging. It reinforces the very reality you want to escape. But here's the breakthrough. You can reprogram your mind by consciously changing your internal dialogue. Instead of no one likes me, say, I am learning how to connect with the right people. Instead of I don't belong, say, I am in the process of finding my tribe. This isn't just about positive thinking. It's about reshaping your actions and energy to align with the connections you want to create. Transformation begins the moment you challenge the story that has been holding you back. The power is already in your hands, but you have to choose to use it. The world responds not to what you wish for, but to what you believe and embody. And when you believe you are worthy of connection, the world will mirror that belief right back to you. If you want great friends, you must first become the kind of person you'd want to be around. Too often, people focus on what they lack rather than what they can offer. They say, I have no friends, but rarely ask themselves, would I want to be friends with me? This isn't about self-criticism, it's about self-awareness. If you're looking for people who are kind, supportive, and uplifting, then the first step is to embody those qualities yourself. Friendships aren't something you wait for. They are something you create by becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts the right people. Think about the energy you bring into a room. People are drawn to confidence, positivity, and authenticity. If you constantly complain, focus on what's missing, or expect others to do the work of making you feel included, you push people away without realizing it. But when you shift your focus outward, when you engage with curiosity, bring good energy, and show up as your best self, you naturally attract others who resonate with that. Friendship isn't just about finding people who will be there for you. It's about being the person who shows up for others. If you want loyal friends, be loyal first. If you want deep conversations, ask meaningful questions. If you want fun, laughter, and adventure in your life, be the one who creates those moments. Instead of waiting for someone to invite you, be the person who reaches out. Instead of waiting for others to listen, be the person who genuinely listens first. The way you treat people determines the kind of relationships you attract. It's also important to recognize that people mirror the energy you give off. If you walk into interactions feeling desperate for approval, people sense it and it creates a disconnect. But when you show up as someone who is comfortable with themselves, confident in who they are, and genuinely interested in others, people will be naturally drawn to you. Instead of thinking, how can I get people to like me? Ask yourself, how can I add value to the people around me? This shift changes everything. Becoming the person you want to attract isn't about being perfect, it's about being intentional. It's about deciding what kind of energy you want to bring into the world and showing up as that person every day. The friendships you desire are already waiting for you, but they are looking for the version of you who is ready to receive them. The moment you start embodying those qualities, the right people will start showing up in your life. Stepping out of your comfort zone is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. If you feel like you have no friends, it's not because you are incapable of connection. It's because you haven't yet pushed yourself into the spaces where those connections can happen. The comfort zone is deceptive. It feels safe, familiar, and predictable, but it also keeps you trapped in the same patterns that led to loneliness in the first place. Growth, transformation, and relationships don't happen in isolation. They happen when you take action. It's easy to wait for the perfect moment, to tell yourself, I'll put myself out there when I feel more confident. But confidence isn't something you wait for, it's something you build by doing. The first conversation will feel awkward. The first time you join a new group, you might feel like an outsider. The first time you raise your hand, introduce yourself, or start a conversation, your heart might race. That's normal. Discomfort isn't a stop sign, it's a sign that you're growing. Every time you do something that scares you, you weaken the grip of fear and strengthen your ability to take even bigger steps. The truth is, the people you admire, the ones who seem socially confident, who have strong friendships, who walk into a room and connect effortlessly, were once in the same position. They weren't born with some secret ability to attract people. They built it through experience. They had their share of awkward moments, rejections, and failed attempts. The difference is they kept going. They understood that every conversation, every interaction, every small step outside their comfort zone was bringing them closer to the connections they desired. Rejection is part of the process. Not everyone will respond the way you hope, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you aren't likable or worthy. It simply means you're getting closer to finding the people who truly align with you. Every no is just redirection toward a better yes. The mistake most people make is letting one uncomfortable experience define them. They try once, face an awkward moment, and retreat. But real change happens when you push through that discomfort, when you remind yourself that every step forward is a win, no matter how small. The friendships you want aren't going to magically appear while you stay in the same routine, talking to the same people, doing the same things. They exist in the moments where you take a risk, start a conversation, show up where you're not yet known, and embrace the uncertainty of connection. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes, and before you know it, stepping outside your comfort zone won't feel like an effort. It will feel like the only way to truly live. Many people struggle with making connections because they are constantly seeking approval from others. They wait for validation before they can feel good about themselves or take the next step in building relationships. But the truth is, seeking constant approval can trap you in a cycle of self-doubt and insecurity. The more you focus on needing others to accept you, the less authentic you become. And when you aren't being authentic, it's hard to form deep, meaningful connections. If you truly want friends who accept you for who you are, the first step is to stop seeking approval and start standing in your own truth. When you constantly seek approval, you're giving away your power. You're allowing other people's opinions to define your self-worth. The key to building strong, lasting friendships is not to fit into what others expect of you, but to be unapologetically yourself. When you stop trying to please everyone, you create space for people to appreciate the real you. Authenticity is magnetic. People are naturally drawn to those who are confident in who they are, who don't feel the need to hide behind masks or pretend to be something they're not. If you try to mold yourself into what you think others want, you're only attracting people who are drawn to a version of you that isn't true. And in the long run, that doesn't lead to real connection. To build meaningful relationships, you need to feel complete on your own. When you know your worth, you no longer need to beg for validation from others. You're comfortable with your own company and you value yourself, so you attract people who will value you the same way. The energy you bring into a room is the energy people will reflect back to you. If you radiate self-respect and confidence, you'll naturally attract people who respect you. But if you go into situations seeking approval, you'll only receive surface-level interactions because people can sense that you're depending on their validation to feel good about yourself. The more you focus on being yourself and expressing your true thoughts, feelings, and values, the more you'll find people who resonate with who you are. You'll stop worrying about whether or not people like you and instead focus on forming relationships that are built on mutual respect and shared interests. By being authentic and letting go of the need for constant approval, you start creating a life full of meaningful, genuine friendships. It's a shift from seeking others' acceptance to embracing your own worth and attracting people who do the same. When you let go of the need for approval, you give yourself permission to form connections that are based on truth. And it's those kinds of relationships that have the power to last. Friendship is a two-way street, and it's not just about what you can get from others. The law of reciprocity is powerful. When you show up for others, when you give your time, your attention, your support, you create an environment where true friendship can thrive. People are naturally drawn to those who make them feel valued, understood, and appreciated. So, if you want friends, start by giving. You don't need to wait for others to offer you their time or love. Start by being the one who leads with generosity. When you focus on giving to others, you shift the focus off your own needs and desires, and in doing so, you open up the possibility of deep, fulfilling relationships. The key is to give without expectation. Too often, people give because they're hoping for something in return: approval, attention, or validation. But the most authentic connections happen when you give purely out of the desire to add value to someone else's life. Whether it's offering a kind word, listening attentively when someone needs to talk, or simply being there for a friend when they need support, giving creates a bond that no amount of self-centeredness ever could. Sometimes giving might mean stepping out of your comfort zone to connect with others in meaningful ways. It could mean reaching out to someone who might not have the same social circles as you, offering to help someone with a problem they're facing, or simply being the one who consistently shows up for your friends. In doing so, you show that you value them and are willing to invest in the relationship. Over time, this creates a solid foundation of trust where both people feel safe to be themselves. True friendships aren't about keeping score. It's not about measuring who's given more or who's been there more often. It's about showing up for each other in times of need and celebrating each other's successes. Giving doesn't always have to be grand gestures. Sometimes it's the little things: a thoughtful text, an offer to help, or a moment of genuine encouragement that make the biggest impact. The more you show up for others in this way, the more your friendships will grow and deepen. When you focus on giving before you receive, you create a space where people feel valued, heard, and understood. And when people feel valued, they naturally want to reciprocate. It's this cycle of mutual respect and care that builds the foundation for lasting, meaningful relationships. So rather than focusing on what you can get from others, focus on what you can offer. The friendships you've always wanted are waiting for you, but they begin with your willingness to give. By pouring into others, you create an environment where trust and connection can flourish. And in turn, those relationships will give back to you in ways you never expected. So now, as you stand on the edge of possibility, ask yourself, what kind of friend do I want to be? Because the friendships you desire are waiting for you to show up, not just as someone who wants to be loved, but as someone who is ready to give love, connection, and authenticity. The journey starts with you. Step into your own power, rewrite your story, step out of your comfort zone, stop seeking approval, and start giving first. You are worthy of the kind of friendships that nourish your soul. And by becoming the person you want to attract, you'll not only find those connections, you'll create them. The moment you take action, the world begins to respond. The friends you seek are out there, and they're waiting for you to become the person who is ready to receive them.